Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. We have a disappointing update in the Montana school zone case, though it is not surprising and it's not over. I've already covered this case in a couple different videos, but for a bare bones recap, Gabriel Metcalf and his mother live in Billings, Montana, across from a school. They both have restraining orders against a former neighbor who is so crazy the cops won't even talk to him, and they have the restraining order because of attempted assaults and death threats. The neighbor has been breaking the restraining order, and so Mr. Metcalf began carrying a gun on his property for protection. People then complained that he had a gun across from a school and called the police on Metcalf, who said that he wasn't breaking the law and they couldn't actually do anything. But then the feds came in and arrested him for having a gun in a school zone and have been making his life hell ever since. His defense rests on two arguments. The first, that Montana state law provides exemptions to the School Zone Act for those with gun licenses, and two, that the act is unconstitutional anyway. It wouldn't be the first time it was found unconstitutional, so it's a pretty sound argument. A judge with the Ninth Circuit, however, disagrees. But before we get into the details, today's video is brought to you by Blackout Coffee Company. They are a Florida-based coffee roaster who supports your rights, this channel, and veterans, all through their amazing, truly amazing selection of coffees, teas, and hot chocolates. They even have partner roasts that donate directly to some of your favorite gun rights groups like GOA, so you know that your money is going to a good cause. To help support them and this channel, go to blackoutcoffee.com/LibertyDoll. P.S. The Valentine's Day sale is now live with 20% off your order with code BLACKOUTLOVE. The opinion comes from Susan P. Waters on a motion to dismiss. She rejected the motion outright, saying that neither of Metcalf's arguments have any merit, which all the other folks who have read the Constitution and are well versed in the Bruen decision seem to disagree. First, she said that the Montana law doesn't meet the requirements of the Gun-Free School Zone Act and scrapped it completely. As for the constitutionality argument, the law has already been found unconstitutional before, which was a point that I have brought up in every video that I've talked about this case, and I saw in a lot of the comments. But here's where it gets tricky, legally speaking. Bill Clinton and Janet Reno turned around and added 12 words to the law to try and appease the courts. 5 circuits have upheld the law based on that addition, while 3 have continued to say it doesn't pass constitutional muster. The Ninth Circuit is one of those that have already upheld the law, saying that it falls under the Commerce Clause. This decision was before Heller and before Bruen, but it seems that Waters doesn't care. Bruen requires historical analogs. The prosecution supplied some 19th century laws that banned students from having guns on campus, which is not a good fit, remotely. The judge rightly did not consider that sufficient, so apparently she went through the historical record herself. The only thing she could come up with was a law from the Constitution of Delaware in 1776 that banned guns within 1 mile of polling places for 24 hours before an election to 24 hours after it ended. So like 2 days. Well, actually, let me backtrack, because it turns out that that isn't accurate either. She said that the law banned guns, but a reading of the law states it banned battalions or companies on the state payroll and not individuals, which does not give me any more confidence in her ruling than I already had. If you don't believe me, here it is, straight from the source, Article 28. Article 28, to prevent any violence or force being used at the said elections, no person shall come armed to any of them, and no muster of the militia shall be made on that day, nor shall any battalion or company give in their votes immediately succeeding each other, if any other voter who offers to vote objects thereto, nor shall any battalion or company in the pay of the continent or of this or any other state be suffered to remain at the same time and place of holding the said elections, nor within 1 mile of the said places respectively for 24 hours before the opening said elections, nor within 24 hours after the same are closed, so as in any manner to impede the freely and conveniently carrying on the said election, provided always that every elector may, in a peaceable and orderly manner, give in his vote on the said day of election. Sure, it says that you can't bring your gun to vote, but the part of the law she cites in her opinion is specifically about paid soldiers. And that law was scrapped in 1792, only 16 years later, and 1 year after the Second Amendment was ratified. So even if it wasn't about banning guns, or rather armed agents of the state, in a specific place only 1 or 2 days a year, it still wouldn't apply under Bruen anyway, as is not part of the historical tradition of the Second Amendment. 1 year certainly does not a tradition make. She then cited a couple other laws from the late 1800s banning guns from polling places and stretched that to say it provided enough history to create permanent gun-free buffer zones around schools, claiming that those previous laws established sensitive places and schools are sensitive places, even though these sensitive places have been thrown out in other locales. Then she claimed that because school shootings are a new issue, they require new laws and a new response that can't rely on historical text and tradition, and so Bruen shouldn't count. Which is a disclaimer that I don't remember reading in the Bruen decision. So it completely flies in the face of Bruen, but tying themselves into knots to get around it has been the MO of leftist lawmakers and judges since the decision was written, so no big surprises there. She even admits that there is no real historical analog consistent with the requirements under Bruen, but as I just told you, that doesn't seem to change her mind, and instead just makes the mental gymnastics work that much harder to really go for the gold. This case was guaranteed to be appealed no matter what side the ruling came down on, so now it will head to a 3-judge panel at the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals, where honestly, I expect to see more of the same thing. But of course, I will keep following it and keep bringing you guys the updates. As with previous videos on this case, Gabriel's mom has set up a Give, Send, Go that has already been a huge help in the case, and I will be linking that down in the description for folks who haven't seen it yet. All right, Liberty fam, that is it for this video. I gotta jet out of here because it is Liberty Toddler's nap time. So, as always, thanks for tuning in and happy shooting.